Welcome back to DTIT. DTIT is a place where you can come to get some help for common IT issues for the new user, or perhaps a student in school or someone new to IT trade in general. Today's issue we're going to be dealing with is a problem, a slow internet browsing. This could have a couple reasons, but we'll just give you a couple possibilities to deal with this situation. Slow internet browsing. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be dealing with is trying to get to our command prompt. We're going to deal with a couple commands on the command line to try to help deal with this situation and make our browsing a little easier, or try to deal with some hangups. The first thing we're going to do is right click the start button or the Windows button. That's that blue square that has 4 squares in it. Right click start. Okay, so after we've right-clicked Start, you'll get a console that'll appear. This console is just a menu list of potential options. What you're going to try to focus on is look for Terminal. In this case, we want to use the terminal with administrator privileges, so we're going to be looking for Admin on the terminal. Okay, so as you can see, we've found Terminal, and the Admin privileges section that is selected, just standard left click that. Okay, so now we're inside our admin command prompt, and we're going to be using commands on our command line interface here. So your screen should look something similar. We're going to type a command next to your name. In this case, I just made up a name, Django, so our command will be entered right next to that. Okay, so how we're going to be dealing with this situation, we're going to do 3 things. We'll be entering 3 different commands. They are similar to dealing with a DHCP IP address. What the first 2 things we'll be doing is we'll be releasing the IP address that this current machine has, releasing it back to the DHCP address pool and obtaining another one. So the first command we're going to be doing is ipconfig /release. So it's ipconfig ipconfig space /release and hit enter. Okay, so we have hit enter from our ipconfig release, and we have released the current DHCP IP address back to its DHCP pool. And as you can see here, just one thing you can tell that it actually took effect. You can notice on the screen where it says default gateway, there is nothing on there. And a few lines above that, you do not have an IP version 4 or an IP version 6 address displayed. So that means our address has been released. Now our next step is going to be obtaining a new DHCP address. Okay, so once again, we'll be using the ipconfig command. We're going to redo this ipconfig /renew. So ipconfig ipconfig space /renew and hit enter. We'll be obtaining a new DHCP IP address from the pool resources. Okay, so now we're back into what the screen looks like after you've hit the enter for ipconfig /renew. It has obtained a new DHCP address. I have those addresses blocked out just for training purposes. They're not important. Just know that a new IP address is actually printed behind those blacked out boxes. As you can see, where we see default gateway, we now have an IP address displayed. We also have a IP version 4 address displayed, and we have an IP version 6 address displayed. That shows that we have obtained a new DHCP IP address from its resource pool, and we're now ready to go to our last step that we can do of flushing our DNS, our domain name server. So we'll clear that out, and that should rectify these problems. Okay, first thing I need to make a correction on DNS. DNS means domain name system, not domain name server. My apologies. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is flushing our DNS cache. That can sometimes be a hang up when you're using trying to access a website or going between websites, and it could be slow and having a hard time load. It could be something with that cache that it's having trouble communicating with. So one thing you can do is just flush that DNS out. And what that'll do is the next time that your computer wants to access that website, it has to seek out that um, domain name from the domain name system cache and get a new entry for its little log. And sometimes that can be the main issue that can solve this problem. So we're going to deal with the next command, which is also using ipconfig, ipconfig slash flush DNS, ipconfig space forward slash flush DNS, all one, and hit enter. All right, so after hitting enter from ipconfig slash flush DNS, you see a display comes up. You've successfully flushed your DNS resolver cache. So that'll make the computer start over and refill its cache for domain names. And sometimes that could just free up your hang up and make things a little easier for you going between websites or loading things on the websites for the future. So we've took care of that the best we could. That's just the three common ways to try to deal with that. If you're still having trouble with that, then you have a much more complicated issue that we can address on a later video. Well, thank you for dropping by DTIT today. I hope that you found this video helpful. Today we were dealing with a problem that's when you're trying to access a website and it's taking a long time to try to find your website. That could be a problem with your DNS cache, and we flushed that out. And another thing that you can do to help with that would be to release your DHCP IP address on the system and renewing it. That between those three things, that's using the ipconfig command. Usually those can clear up the situation in common instances. If you are having a problem beyond that, then it's a potentially bigger issue. We can deal with that on a later video, but I sure appreciate you dropping by. So if you've liked this video, hit the like, share, and subscribe, and you can be notified when new ones come out. Have a good day.